Generic Plant left a super chat that said anti-cheat, at least some of it, does work under Linux. The issue is that when you're gaming on Linux, a lot of the time you're using Proton or Wine, which breaks the anti-cheat because you are trying to run the Windows version of the anti-cheat on Linux. So
Interesting.
what's actually happening here, that's a really great super chat. Thanks, Generic Plant. What's
Yeah.
really happening here is they're finding a way to adapt it so that their anti-cheat, it isn't flagging running within Proton as some kind of circumvention, right? Because, I mean, anti-cheat software by its very nature has to look for anything unusual and go, no, no, do not like this. I mean, we've talked about anti-cheat on the WAN show a fair bit in the past, and a lot of the time it's a lot more insidious than it used to be. Like I remember Luke and I have been playing Diablo and actually mostly Diablo in after party streams over the last couple of weeks. And we've been cheating, right? We've been duping gold because ain't nobody got time for. Look,
it's been fun. It's a whole little mini game.
yeah. Just like people are watching us on Twitch, and we're like just duping gold. Like, wow, there's like 2,000 people watching us dupe gold. Anyway, the point is, back in the day, the way that you cheated at a game like Diablo was you would download a trainer, is what it's called. I don't know what they call them anymore, but or like and I think they would include a character editor, and so you could just go and you could edit your character. And it was software that had to run on the computer at the same time. So obviously, one of the things that anti-cheat looks for is any software, any processes that are running that could be injecting or sniffing any part of the game's data. But it can be a lot like crazier than that. Like some anti-cheat will actually flag you for gaming within a virtual machine, for example. And the reason for that is that in a VM, without actually having a process running on the VM, you could have a separate VM, or more likely the hypervisor, watching all the network activity and monitoring it that way so that the anti-cheat can't find this process that's running on the same machine. Then, next level, you've got anti-cheat that'll run as a pass-through a completely separate machine, where that separate machine will actually control the user inputs. And obviously, there's nothing that there's nothing about that I think would break Proton compatibility. The point is just that game developers are looking for any weird way that the game could be running, or any weird thing that's running alongside it, and they're blocking that immediately as soon as they can. So it's no surprise that it didn't work, and I get it. Cheating is a huge problem in online games, and honestly, I mean, man, Luke, what would you give up in order to have no cheating in online games? You're muted.
I don't quite a bit.
Like, would you be willing? Okay. Oh wow, we are getting into
because to know for sure that no one, because that's the big problem, right? Is the second there's reasonable doubt, it like corrupts the entire experience.
It sucks the joy out of it. It's not fun anymore if someone even might be cheating. Because I don't mind. I would much rather, I think I've told you this before, 10 times out of 10, I would rather lose a close fight or a fair fight than win an uneven one. That's not fun. There's no glory in winning a one-sided, and it's not fun losing a one-sided battle either. But you always want matchmaking, right? Like better matchmaking is better for everyone, and cheating destroys the matchmaking process. So I've got a question for you, and I'm sure our viewers are going to, whether I ask them or not, they're going to unsolicitedly weigh in on this one. Luke, would you play a game that literally required you to submit photo ID like every time you signed in? Like they would validate your government issued ID. You would have kind of like what Facebook tried to do, or what Google Plus tried to do back in the day with this like true identification system. If you knew that as soon as someone got caught for cheating, not just an account ban, but they personally would be banned from the game. Now, obviously, people would try to find friends or family or relatives or whatever else, and they would try to create additional accounts in this manner. But would you submit your user information and would you play that game?
My stuff is already aggressively compromised, as such as is yours. But I wouldn't, just because I couldn't bring myself to support that system because of people whose information is not aggressively compromised, if that makes sense.
So it's out of a concern for the people who might not be considering how much they're giving up.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair enough.
I'd like want to, though, because none of my stuff matters anymore, right? Like, it's just whatever. I'm everywhere, so who cares? I gave up on this whole thing a long time ago. I used to care so much about privacy and stuff, and then I was just like, whatever, dude. You can Google like any of my things, so who cares? But I wouldn't want to support that system. So, yeah, I wouldn't do it.
Okay, that's fair enough. You know what? Man, I'd be real tempted.
I am tempted. Like, like, I'm not saying that, but
it's no secret that when you play with a controlled group of people who all are accountable to each other in the real world, in real terms, and I'm basically describing like China's social credit system at this point. But it's no secret that when you game with people who actually care about what you think of them in the real world and the consequences of how they behave, it's a way better experience. It's why LAN parties are so much fun, and gaming with randoms on the internet is so freaking toxic. Like, it's why having a clan has been a thing for as long as online gaming has basically been a thing, because it's a curated gaming experience. You know that you're among friends who are going to engage in civil discourse, or maybe they won't. Maybe that's your clan's thing, is you all talk shit to each other, but like, that's fine too, as long as it's among friends, right? And I'd be tempted. And a big part of it too would be just,
what if?
Okay, hit me.
Okay, so Valve had this thing with Counter-Strike that I actually was pretty down with, where I think you had to sync a phone number, and you would only matchmake against other people that had that level of authentication. So if that like account got banned and it had that phone number attached to it, that phone number was burned. I think that's how that worked. And there's some wacky stuff there because, sorry, what?
Did they do away with that?
I don't know. That might still be a thing. Prime matchmaking. People are calling it prime matchmaking. Let me see if it's a thing. It's been a while since I've like seriously played Counter-Strike. Prime matchmaking. And yeah, so the cool thing was you could play the game either way, but you could also decide to only match up with other people that are doing prime matchmaking. And cheating, it felt better. I don't know if it felt better because there was genuinely less people cheating, or if it felt better because my brain thought there was less people cheating. But either way, it felt better. Like,
I could see that.
Yeah.
Laddie has a really good point here. Now, and it's really funny because, oh man, it's amazing the kinds of gymnastics your brain will do when you just don't wanna, Like, I would look at, I have to submit my ID, and like, what you have to do with a vaccine passport, where you have to send a video of yourself along with the photo ID for validation. Yeah, this is like super definitely me. Like, I would be more tempted to submit to that than Laddie here says, well, you could achieve this much less invasively. A Stadia only or whatever service, GeForce Now or whatever, game that you can only stream is functionally uncheatable. That's probably not quite true. I've seen some really sophisticated cheats that will actually do frame analysis for you and then input using mouse and keyboard inputs.
That's not even sophisticated.
And I mean, it's more sophisticated than my Diablo trainer, Luke. Come on.
Okay.
Come on. Okay. Help me out. Okay. To me, a cheat is like a hex editor, or you type type into the chat. It is a good day to die. Okay, Luke. It's a Warcraft cheat, invulnerability.
Yeah.
You can send your peon in and be like, just hack up all the paladins. All right. Anyway, the point is, there are cheats.
Greed is good, man.
There are cheats that could work in a system like that through either a combination of just programming for a particular game, or even through AI, just identifying player models and then immediately tracking the crosshair to their head or whatever the case may be. But you're right that it would be more difficult and maybe easier to probably be about the same difficulty to catch that person. What do you think?
So screen scanners can be run on local or external computers, and it doesn't matter if the game's being streamed to have a screen scanner do that. And screen scanners can do tons of stuff. They can look for models of heads. It was very simple back in the day with Counter-Strike because there was very few of them. And these days, to be completely honest, it's not exactly harder. There's a lot more different models of heads, but the tech on the cheating side has also advanced, so that's not really a big deal. You can also look for things that state change. So like, I'm just thinking Diablo right now. Diablo 1, you could have it look at your health bubble. You know, you have your health in your mana bubble. I don't know where the WAN can see my stuff, but you can have it watch that and see for how much the red fills. And if it gets low enough, it could automatically use a potion. Like you can do all that kind of stuff. It doesn't matter if the game is streamed to you or not. Those are just inputs based on things that are happening on the screen, right? So, yeah. I'm sure it would help with some things, but like whether the game is streamed to you or not, it's going to be able to click on a head if it wants, and it's going to be able to do tons of other stuff if it wants. So
Penag Win says, I know of services that allow you to get a non-VoIP number for verification for pennies a number, so it's not a perfect solution in CS. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, if there's one thing that we can all agree on, I think it's that game cheaters really, really suck. Online game cheaters are kind of the worst. Now tell me something, Luke. Linus Media Group has failed. Floatplane can't make money. It's the business is going down.
Darn.
You've reached a point of desperation. Okay, you have two paths.
I'm a Fortnite streamer.
You are some kind of... That's not a path. Come on, that's even worse. Okay, so, you have two paths. Okay, you're a coding prodigy, and you've come up with simultaneously. You've come up with an idea for like the next big pornography website. Or an epic cheating client, like cheating software.
Option one.
You'll make the same. Oh, okay. Well, I was expecting this to be like, you know that like working in porn.
That's not even controversial in 2021, dude. I don't think so anymore.
You don't think so?
I don't think it's stigmatized as much anymore.
I remember 100%. talking to Brandon about this way back. Yeah,
because camera people wouldn't want to put on the resumes that they had done it in the past. Yeah. I don't think that's as much of a thing anymore. There's been so much movement destigmatizing that. Like, whatever. I don't know.
Okay then. Well, I really did expect that to be a longer conversation. Moving on.
We had talked about in the past about how we could potentially spin up like another site that did video.
Yeah, we've talked about that. Yep.
Yeah. So I was already down with that. I wasn't already down with making cheats for video games.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.